Okay, I'm going to explain what I think is the best Druid build right now. It doesn't require any uniques. Jumping into it, it is centered around the extreme amount of survivability that you get from the synergy between Nature's Fury, this aspect that resets cooldowns when Nature Fury triggers. So the basis is we're going to be spamming Storm Strike and Tornado. It will constantly be refreshing Earth and Bulwark. So with the amount of cooldown that we have, Earth and Bulwark has a cooldown of 12.87 seconds. When this triggers, it reduces it by 12 seconds, so it will almost completely refresh it. And this will happen multiple times per fight. It will also do a significant amount of damage to everything around you. I've seen some builds that just focus only on this synergy. I think that's wrong. That's why I think this build is better than all the rest of the builds. So it has extreme mass survivability, but it also focuses on Tornado, which does even more damage than Earth and Bulwark does. So it has a ridiculous amount of survivability because you're casting this Earth and Bulwark over and over again. You're going to be buried up the vast majority of the time. And you're going to be doing a lot of damage with Earth and Bulwark innate explosion and Tornado. So let's take a look at my skills here. Just Storm Strike, Tornado. I do grab the Heart of the Wild, Abundance, and Wild Impulses. Most true builds do. I also grab Predatory Instincts because we are always right up in there in the business. So that's just a clean 6% critical strike. Hard to go wrong with that. Going to next, I did put a fair amount of points into Earth and Bulwark. It's not actually necessary. It's more for survivability. The damage doesn't increase as you put more points into it. It's strictly focused on your life total. But you definitely want innate Earth and Bulwark. That's quite a significant amount of the damage in this build. We also pick up Vigilance for a huge amount of damage reduction because that's always up, because once again we're always casting Earth and Bulwark, which is a defensive skill, so we're going to have that up almost always. One of the best 3 points you could get. This is a flex slot. You can put whatever you desire here. I put Poison Creeper mainly for this guy. When I pop Poison Creeper, it's going to increase my crit chance against the crowd by 20%. So just a nice little damage upgrade against these big Floxy of elites. But once again, this is a total flex slot. You could potentially put Cyclone Armor there if you want. If you were looking for some more survivability or whatever your favorite companion is. Okay, next run we pick up just some more damage. These are not particularly important, and you could play around with these points if you like. I do like the minus 20% less damage on Hurricane, so I pick up Hurricane. Here I pick up the Defiance, and honestly, if you wanted to, you could probably move these points. You can experiment in the Resonance, Natural Disaster, probably put there. I mess with my points a lot, so I would figure out what works the best for you. I definitely like focusing on Fortify and getting to this reduce control and parry effects. If I die, it's almost always because I get chain CC'd, so this is the best I can do to head that off with some points. And finally, you need Nature's Fury. Paragon is pretty straightforward. I didn't really think about it that hard. I'm sure people could make it better, but you want the standard exploit glyph. It's just one of the best glyphs out there for damage. You could probably find a better board to put into because I actually didn't have that much dexterity here. Then I think the glyph that's absolutely imperative to build is the human, right? Because you can see it's giving me 60% damage in human form. I'm always in human form, and then 10% damage reduction. There's no better move for this build than that. For the next board, I'm looking towards probably territorial, because once again I'm always close in to my enemies, so doing extra damage to close targets and more damage reduction, even better. I'll take a look at my gear now. Starting from my armor down, I think most builds are going to have this. Basic skills are going to have 20% damage reduction. Most builds that use basic skills, we use Storm Strike. So that's just a flat 20% damage reduction, pretty much always really good aspect. On the chest, we use the stacking armor. We have a lot of armor, and stacking it is great. I highly recommend this. I'm sure you could use something else, but I like the stacking armor on the chest. I use the basic attacks, basic skills gain 30% attack speed on the gloves. Once again, we need to use these two skills as often as possible to proc Earth and Bulwark. So you want to get as much attack speed for Storm Strike as you possibly can, because it's also our generator that allows us to use Tornado, and then it can also trigger the cooldown refresh on Earth and Bulwark. So it's super important to get your basic attack speed up. This is more of a utility thing. It increases the duration of Earth and Bulwark, so if you're kind of in between procs or if you're in between groups, you keep it up so that you maintain that barrier, which is actually pretty nice too, because on the boots we have when we're unstoppable, you gain 22% movement speed, so you could pop Earth and Bulwark even when you're not fighting. You get 9 seconds of even faster movement speed, which is great because I spend so much time just running the next ward. With the two-headed weapon, and I'm sure we could, there's probably a dual wielding with a totem and one-hander configurations that are worth considering, but I'm using a two-hander. I like this guy. It gives 42% attack speed when I crit with my core skills. Tornadoes are always there, so this is up like 99% of a fight. This will be activated, so that's a huge attack speed for both Storm Strike and Tornado. Once again, it's all about casting these as quickly as possible to keep a very high uptime on Bulwark and just to generate and cast more Tornadoes. For the jewelry, this is the only thing that's probably absolutely required for this build, other than the cooldown on the amulet and the helmet. Is you absolutely require this aspect, and you want a high roll. So this is the best. This is highest roll, 12 seconds reduction on the trigger. Absolutely required. Tornado. This makes Tornado do significantly more damage. It's definitely worth a slot. It's certainly not required, but I would not leave home without it. Tornado does probably more damage than Earth and Bulwark. It's close, but certainly against a single target. And lastly, because we're continuously casting Earth and Bulwark and these two skills, we're pretty much always, these two storm skills, these are always going to be triggers, so we'll get some nice crit on our storm skills and some nice crit damage on Earth and Bulwark. Once again, this is probably a flex slot, not super important. Probably could be optimized. So that's about it. That's how the build works. I have another video where I'm doing a level 98 tier 46 nightmare dungeon at 77 without really any issues. Died once against the boss, but pretty smooth run, so it's incredibly good pushing build. In fact, there's nothing that this build isn't good at. It's really good at PvP because you have super high shield uptime, so they're going to have a hard time killing you unless they're just absolutely busted and one-strike you. And it has a significant amount of damage. It's good at single target, it's good at clearing. There's really nothing this build isn't good for. I guess I haven't fought Uber Loath, so maybe maybe that's a weakness. I really don't know anything about that fight, but this absolutely feels like the strongest Druid build to me. I tried the Pulverize, I tried the Werewolf Storm build. This is just blows the mass ability away just because of the sheer survivability you get from the Earth and Bulwark synergy while maintaining the absolute insane damage of the Tornado plus Earthen. So it seems to be the highest damage and the highest survivability. And you also are very quick because Earthen Bulwark is always up, and you have plus 22% movement speed up for most of the run. So it's just very fast, very high survivability, very high area effect damage, very high single target damage, very strong in PvP, pretty much good in every element of the game, and it requires no uniques, and you could build up to the game. You could build up to this build. You could just kind of start with like the standard Storm Tornado leveling build, and roll right into this for endgame. And you don't even need this you don't even need the Earth and Bulwark synergy to start off in the lower levels. You could just wait for you to get the Nature's Fury aspect at some point, and then you can start running, pushing harder Nightmare dungeons. But you don't even need that to to push up into like the 50s and 60s. For instance, you'll be fine with just tornadoes and the same kind of aspects that you kind of run basically 1 through not 100. So that's the build. Thanks for listening. Take care. Good luck. Have fun.